Ethan's boots sank slightly into the soft, violet sand as he moved carefully across the alien landscape. The sky above shimmered with two suns casting long, strange shadows across jagged, metallic cliffs. He had traveled far from Earth to explore this remote planet, a place few humans had even glimpsed through telescopes. His mission was simple: observe, record, and report. But as he walked, he realized that the planet held mysteries no human had truly prepared for. He spotted the first sign of the alien city from a distance, a series of towers that curved impossibly toward the sky, each structure appearing both fragile and strong at the same time. The buildings seemed to pulse faintly, glowing with patterns of light that ran along their surfaces like veins. The city looked abandoned, yet something in Ethan's gut told him otherwise. He felt eyes on him, even though he saw no one. His hand hovered near his utility belt, where a small energy scanner and other equipment rested. He was trained for situations like this, but nothing in his experience could have prepared him for what awaited. As he approached the main gate, a massive archway of iridescent metal, a soft hum resonated through the air. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath him, until the sound formed a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. And then she appeared. Ethan froze. The figure stepped from the shadows, tall and elegant, her presence immediately commanding attention. The suit she wore covered her completely, from her head to her feet, a sleek, reflective material that seemed alive. The surface shimmered with subtle colors, as if the suit were breathing along with her. He could not see her face, only the faint outline of her features beneath the helmet. "Do you wonder what's beneath this suit?" The voice was clear and melodic, yet it carried a weight of authority. It was a question, but there was curiosity in it, almost playful. Ethan blinked, taken aback by both her question and her sudden appearance. He had trained for first contact, for meeting alien life forms, but nothing in his preparation had included this moment. He realized that how he answered could determine the outcome of this encounter. He took a careful step forward. "I do wonder," he admitted honestly, keeping his voice steady. "But I also know that what matters most is the person wearing it, not the suit itself." There was a pause. Ethan thought he heard the faintest intake of breath through the suit, though he couldn't be certain. Then the figure tilted her head slightly. "Most would be too afraid, or too curious for the wrong reasons," she said softly, almost to herself. "You are different." Ethan relaxed slightly. That was all he needed, a clue that this encounter would not end in hostility. He motioned to the city behind her. "I've never seen anything like this place. It's incredible." She regarded him silently for a moment, as if weighing his words. Finally, she stepped aside, gesturing for him to enter. "Follow me," she said simply, "but stay close and observe carefully." Ethan's heart raced as he crossed the threshold into the city. The moment he stepped inside, he felt a subtle shift in the air. It was cooler here, yet the atmosphere hummed with a strange energy. The walls were smooth and seemed to flow like liquid metal, and the lights that ran along them changed color as he moved, reacting to his presence. He realized that this city was alive in a way he had never imagined. Lyra, he had learned that this was her name from a small symbol on her shoulder, led him through twisting corridors and open chambers. Strange alien symbols glowed softly along the walls, some of them shifting and moving, forming patterns that made Ethan's head spin. He tried to make mental notes, but part of him was too captivated by the figure walking beside him. Every movement she made was graceful, deliberate, and somehow natural. Despite the rigid-looking suit, "Why are you here?" she asked after a while, breaking the silence. "To explore," Ethan replied simply. "To understand. My mission is to learn about this planet, and about your people, if you'll allow it." Her visor reflected his image back at him. "Most humans come to take, to conquer, to claim. You do not," she said, her tone approving. "That is rare." They reached a large chamber at the center of the city. The ceiling arched high above, disappearing into darkness. At the center of the room was a fountain-like structure that pulsed with light, sending ripples across the smooth floor. Ethan was mesmerized. "What is this?" he asked. "This is the heart of our city," Lyra explained. "It sustains the energy that powers everything here. It is ancient, older than my people remember." She paused. "And it will not allow harm to enter. That is why I must test those who come here." Ethan nodded, understanding that this was more than a physical city. It was a living entity with its own consciousness, in a way. "A test?" he asked. "Yes," she said simply. "A test of character, of intention, and perhaps a test of courage." As they walked further into the chamber, Ethan noticed strange projections on the walls, holographic images of alien landscapes, creatures, and star systems. Some seemed to depict battles, while others showed moments of peace, festivals, and gatherings. Ethan realized that these images told the story of Lyra's civilization, both its triumphs and its struggles. "Your people," he said quietly. "They've been through a lot." Lyra nodded, though he could not see it. The movement was visible in the suit's contours. "Yes, and we endure. That is what defines us." For the first time, Ethan felt a genuine connection. Here was a being who was not only different in form, but in thought and experience. And yet, she seemed to understand something about him that no one on Earth ever had. The moment was interrupted by a low hum that vibrated through the chamber. Ethan turned toward the source and saw a set of floating platforms moving along the walls, guided by invisible forces. Lyra's hand rose slightly, and the platforms stopped moving. "This is your first challenge," she said, her voice steady but firm. Ethan felt a thrill of excitement. "A challenge?" He repeated. Double quotes, "Yes. You will navigate the platforms to reach the other side of the chamber. Observe carefully and act wisely. The city watches all." Ethan glanced at the floating platforms. They were suspended in midair, glowing faintly, and spaced in a way that demanded careful judgment and balance. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the first one. It felt solid, surprisingly so, but he moved cautiously, aware of the strange energy surrounding him. As he advanced, he realized the platforms responded to his weight and movement, shifting slightly with each step. He adjusted carefully, remembering Lyra's words about observation and intention. Each step required focus, but he began to feel a strange harmony with the environment, as if the city itself was testing him, yet guiding him at the same time. Halfway across, a soft voice came from his communicator, Lyra's words, calm and measured. "Do not rush. Observe what is around you. Trust your instincts." Ethan nodded, moving more deliberately. He noticed subtle patterns in the light on the platforms, guiding him. With careful steps, he reached the other side. Lyra was waiting, her presence still imposing, but no longer intimidating. "You have done well," she said. "Many fail this first trial. Few move with both courage and wisdom. You have something rare." Ethan exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "Thank you," he said. "I didn't want to fail." Lyra's visor tilted slightly, a gesture that seemed almost like a smile. "You did not fail yourself. That is what matters." As they moved deeper into the city, Ethan felt the weight of the journey ahead. He knew this was only the beginning. There would be more tests, more discoveries, and perhaps more moments where the trust between them would be challenged. But for the first time, he felt a spark of understanding. That connection between two beings from different worlds could be real, honest, and profound. And through it all, the question Lyra had asked at the beginning lingered in his mind. "Do you wonder what's beneath this suit?" He had answered honestly, without fear or pretense. And it had changed everything. As the suns began to set behind the alien cliffs outside the city, casting long shadows across the chamber, Ethan realized that his life had just taken a turn into the unknown. The journey ahead would be dangerous, strange, and utterly unpredictable, but he was ready. And somehow, he knew that Lyra trusted him enough to walk beside him into whatever lay beyond. For the first time in his career, exploration was no longer just about maps, stars, or data. It was about trust, courage, and the extraordinary bond between a human and an alien princess. And so, the adventure truly began. Ethan followed Lyra deeper into the city, each step revealing wonders beyond his imagination. The corridors expanded into wide halls where light flowed across the walls in gentle waves, forming patterns that seemed almost like living paintings. The air was filled with a soft hum, soothing yet charged with energy. Every surface of the city pulsed subtly, as if it were aware of his presence. Lyra walked ahead with steady confidence. Ethan noticed how she moved not just with grace, but with a rhythm that seemed in harmony with the city itself. The suit that concealed her from head to toe shimmered faintly in response to the ambient light, reflecting colors he couldn't name. This city. It's alive, Ethan whispered. Lyra glanced back, her head tilting slightly. Alive, yes, but not in the way humans understand life. This city and my people are bound by energy, history, and purpose. To survive here, one must respect all three. They arrived in a vast chamber. At the center, a fountain of energy rose, like liquid light, casting soft illumination across the room. Strange devices hovered in midair around it, shifting in intricate patterns. Holographic images floated above the fountain, displaying stars, planets, and alien life forms. Ethan was captivated. This is the Library of Light, Lyra explained. It contains our knowledge, our history, and our future projections. Everything about my people, from their first steps on this planet to our current technology, is preserved here. Ethan stepped closer, mesmerized by the floating images. It's incredible. Your civilization. It's so advanced. Lyra's voice was quiet but firm. Advancement is meaningless without understanding. Knowledge without wisdom brings only destruction. He nodded, realizing she spoke from experience. Her people had survived countless challenges to reach this level of harmony. And yet, there was an elegance to the way she carried herself, a patience he had rarely seen. Lyra led him through a series of displays, each showing a part of her civilization's story. Ethan saw depictions of first settlements, early inventions, and even conflicts with other alien species. Unlike most humans he had read about in science reports, Lyra's people never seemed to prioritize conquest over harmony. They value balance. Ethan observed aloud. Yes, Lyra agreed. Even when threatened, we seek understanding first. Only when understanding fails do we act. That is why I test visitors to our city carefully. Many come with fear or greed, and they do not survive the trials. Ethan's eyes widened. Survive? Lyra nodded. This city protects itself. Intruders who cannot prove their intentions. They are removed, not out of malice, but necessity. The city chooses to preserve life, including its own. As they walked, Ethan noticed small creatures moving along the walls, translucent, almost like jellyfish, drifting gracefully. They seemed to sense his presence, yet they did not approach aggressively. Lyra stopped near one of the projections and gestured to it. These are our sentinels, she explained. They observe without interference. They are part of the city's consciousness. Ethan crouched slightly to get a better view. The sentinels were mesmerizing, gliding along invisible currents of energy, their forms shifting in color and shape. He reached out a hand, and one hovered near him, almost inspecting him. Ethan felt no fear, only awe. They feel intelligent, he said softly. They are, Lyra replied. Not like humans, but they sense intent and emotion. They are extensions of the city itself. As they moved to the next chamber, Ethan began to notice more about Lyra. He realized that her suit was not just for protection, it was a statement, a cultural symbol, and a form of communication. The colors, the way it shimmered, even the rhythm of its pulses, all seemed to convey emotion and intent. You said before that most humans are afraid, Ethan said, curiosity in his voice. Why me? Lyra paused, her hands resting lightly at her sides. Most humans see only what is in front of them. They do not consider consequences or the weight of their actions. You do. Your answer to my first question was honest, without fear, without flattery. That is rare. Ethan felt a flush of pride but kept his composure. I just spoke what I felt was true. Lyra's visor tilted slightly, and for the first time, Ethan thought he saw a subtle softness in her posture. Truthfulness is the foundation of trust. And trust is the rarest commodity in this universe. They arrived at a chamber that seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. Holographic constellations spun above them, each star connected by threads of light. Lyra moved her hand, and a particular system highlighted itself. Ethan leaned in to study it. That's my home system, she said quietly. Far from here, but still part of our people's history. Every star holds a story, every planet a lesson. You humans, you have much to learn about the cosmos, yet you carry courage few can imagine. Ethan felt a sense of humility. He had traveled far, trained extensively, and survived dangerous missions. But here, on this alien world, he realized how much he still did not understand. Yet he also felt something stronger, a connection, a purpose. He was not just exploring a planet. He was learning from a people who challenged everything he thought he knew. Lyra then stopped and turned to him. I will show you something few outsiders ever see. She gestured to a massive gateway, its edges shimmering with energy. Beyond this lies the core of understanding. It is where our people connect with the city directly. You may enter, but know this, only those who respect knowledge, courage, and balance may survive the experience intact. Ethan nodded, feeling both excitement and caution. I understand. As he stepped through the gateway, he felt a subtle shift in the energy around him. The room became brighter, warmer, almost welcoming, yet he could sense a silent judgment, as if the city itself were observing his thoughts. He closed his eyes briefly, centering himself, and then opened them to see the most extraordinary sight. The core was a vast chamber, filled with floating strands of light, each representing a living being's consciousness. The strands intertwined, forming patterns that change constantly, like a living tapestry. Lyra's voice echoed softly in the chamber. This is the essence of our civilization. Every thought, every action, every memory is woven into this network. Here, we learn, we teach, and we connect. Few outsiders can comprehend it fully. Ethan stepped carefully among the strands, reaching out a hand to observe how they reacted to his presence. He could feel a faint pulse, almost like the heartbeat of countless lives. It was overwhelming, yet he remained calm, remembering Lyra's lessons about observation and respect. You are different from the others, Lyra said from behind him. You do not seek to control, you seek to understand. That is why I invited you here. Ethan turned, noticing that the reflections of the strands shimmered against her suit, casting faint colors across its surface. He realized that the city, the strands, and Lyra herself were all connected in ways he could not yet fully grasp. Why do you hide yourself? He asked quietly. Why wear the suit if it conceals so much? Lyra's hands rested at her sides. The suit protects me, yes, but more importantly, it is a test. It is a way to see who sees beyond appearances, who seeks truth without fear or desire. Most fail this test. You have passed simply by being honest. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. No human had ever spoken with such openness and acceptance before, and he realized that this was the start of something far greater than any mission he had undertaken. For the first time since he arrived, he allowed himself to feel hope that humans and Lyra's people could learn from each other, and hope that the bonds of trust could extend across the stars. Lyra extended a hand toward him, not in greeting, but in a gesture of partnership. Come, she said. There is more you must see, more you must understand. Only through knowledge can we truly connect. Ethan placed his hand lightly in hers, feeling a subtle pulse of energy that resonated through the core. He realized that this was not just an alien experience. It was a lesson in humility, courage, and respect. And as they moved deeper into the core, he knew that the journey ahead would challenge him in ways he could not yet imagine. But he also knew this, he would face it honestly, with courage, and with respect for the alien world and the princess who had trusted him from the very beginning. And in that moment, Ethan understood something profound. Exploration was no longer just about maps, stars, or data. It was about understanding life, respecting trust, and discovering what it truly meant to connect with another being, even one from a world light years away. The adventure had only just begun, but Ethan felt ready for whatever lay ahead. Ethan followed Lyra out of the core, feeling both exhilarated and cautious. He had witnessed wonders he could never have imagined, yet a sense of unease lingered in the back of his mind. The city was alive, not just in its technology, but in its awareness. Every light, every movement, every pulse of energy seemed to respond to their thoughts. He knew that at any moment, a wrong step could have consequences. Lyra led him to a large observation deck overlooking the city. The view was breathtaking. Buildings stretched like crystal spires into the sky, connected by bridges of glowing energy. In the distance, strange creatures soared between the towers, their translucent wings reflecting the twin suns above. "This city is beautiful," Ethan said, his voice filled with awe, "but it feels almost perfect. Is it always like this?" Lyra's visor reflected the colors of the city. "Perfection is a balance, not a state. There is danger here, even if it is often hidden. Our city has faced threats before, and it will face them again." Ethan noticed her tone shift slightly, becoming serious. "Threats?" he asked. "Rival factions. Species who seek to exploit or destroy," she explained. "We are powerful, but not invincible. That is why trust is essential, and that is why I must test you further." Before Ethan could ask more, the city trembled with a low vibration. Lights flickered across the towers, and he saw movement in the distance. A group of strange ships approaching the city. Their designs were jagged and menacing, unlike anything he had seen before. "They have come," Lyra said quietly. "Prepare yourself. You will see how courage and intelligence are measured here." Ethan's training kicked in. "What do you need me to do?" Lyra gestured toward a series of control panels that hovered in midair. "Observe, learn, and act wisely. Our defenses require more than firepower. They require understanding of the city and of strategy." He moved quickly, studying the holographic interface. The panels displayed energy flows, structural weaknesses, and potential defense options. Ethan realized that the city itself responded to human touch, amplifying or redirecting energy based on decisions made at the controls. "Follow my instructions," Lyra said, "but do not hesitate to use your own judgment. That is the true test." As the first wave of ships neared, Ethan directed energy pulses along the city's towers, creating barriers and diversions that confused the attackers. The aliens reacted unpredictably, but Ethan adapted quickly, using the holographic data to anticipate their moves. Lyra watched silently, her hands resting lightly at her sides. She had rarely seen a human respond so quickly to the city's unique systems. Ethan's focus, calmness, and quick thinking impressed her deeply. The second wave of attackers breached the outer defenses. Ethan noticed that the ships emitted pulses of energy designed to disrupt the city's flow. He adjusted the barriers, creating channels that redirected the energy harmlessly into empty space. "You are fast to learn," Lyra said. "Most humans would panic. Few would even survive this challenge." Ethan's heart pounded, but he kept his movements precise. He realized that the attackers were not just testing the city, they were testing him. Every decision he made reflected his character, his courage, and his understanding. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, the attackers retreated. Ethan stepped back, breathing heavily, feeling both relief and accomplishment. The city hummed softly. As if acknowledging his success, Lyra approached him, her movements calm and deliberate. "You have proven yourself," she said. "Courage, intelligence, respect, these are rare qualities. Even among my people, you possess them naturally." Ethan felt a flush of pride but kept his focus. "Thank you. I just did what I thought was right." Lyra's visor tilted slightly, a gesture he had come to recognize as approval. "That is exactly what makes you different. Most act out of fear or desire. You act out of understanding." As the tension eased, Lyra led Ethan to a quieter part of the city. They arrived at a chamber filled with soft light, where the walls shimmered with images of alien landscapes. In the center was a platform, suspended slightly above the floor. "This is your next trial," she said. "It is not one of danger, but of perception and trust. Step onto the platform." Ethan hesitated for a moment. The platform floated slightly, responding to the presence of his weight. Taking a deep breath, he stepped onto it instantly. The room shifted. The walls displayed visions of possible futures, paths he could take, and decisions he might make. "You will see," Lyra explained, "what could happen if you act selfishly, hastily, or without respect. Observe carefully. Your choices will not only affect you, but also the city and all who dwell here. Ethan focused, letting his instincts guide him. The visions changed with every thought, showing outcomes both good and bad. He realized that his honesty and courage would be tested in ways he had never imagined. One vision showed the city under attack, crumbling because of poor judgment. Another showed harmony, with alien and human lives preserved through careful decisions. Ethan understood that the key was balance, knowing when to act, when to observe, and when to trust others. Lyra watched silently, noting his reactions. She had removed parts of her suit in private areas during previous trials. Allowing him glimpses of her alien physiology, she observed that Ethan responded naturally, without fear or awkwardness. His acceptance, respect, and calm demeanor impressed her more than any display of strength could. Finally, the visions faded, and the platform settled. Ethan stepped off, feeling both exhausted and enlightened. I understand, he said. It's not just about fighting or defending. It's about seeing the bigger picture. Lyra nodded. Exactly. Most fail because they cannot see beyond immediate threats. You can. That is why I trust you. They moved to the next chamber, where a gentle light bathed the room. Lyra turned to him. Few outsiders ever reach this point. You have shown courage, intelligence, and respect. But there's one final aspect you must understand: trust. Ethan looked at her, curiosity and respect in his eyes. Trust, yes, Lyra said. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, even between species. You must trust the city, and the city must trust you. Only then can true understanding occur. She stepped aside, revealing a smaller chamber filled with a soft, glowing mist. In the center was a device that seemed alive, pulsing in rhythm with the city itself. Step forward, she instructed. Place your hand on the device and let the city feel you. Show that you mean no harm. Ethan approached cautiously, placing his hand on the pulsating surface. Energy flowed through him, not painfully, but with a sensation of connection. He felt the city's awareness, its intelligence, and its history. It was overwhelming. Yet he remained calm, letting his honesty and respect guide him. The device glowed brighter. Responding to his presence, Lyra observed, her posture relaxed for the first time. You have done well, she said softly. You have proven yourself not only to me, but to the city itself. Ethan withdrew his hand, breathing deeply. I didn't realize it would feel like that, like the city knew me. It does, Lyra confirmed. And now, it will watch over you as well. You have earned its trust, as you have earned mine. For a moment, silence filled the room. Ethan realized the depth of what had just occurred. This was more than a test or trial. It was a connection, a bond between human and alien, between two forms of life separated by light years but united by respect and understanding. Lyra turned toward him. You are ready for what comes next. But know this, every challenge ahead will require the same qualities you have shown: courage, intelligence, respect, and trust. Without them, failure is inevitable. Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and determination. I understand. I'm ready. Lyra's visor reflected the soft glow of the chamber. Good. Then let us proceed. There is much more for you to see, and the journey has only just begun. As they exited the chamber, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had faced trials, understood the city's consciousness, and earned trust in a way he never thought possible. Yet he knew the adventure was far from over. Challenges awaited, dangers and mysteries that would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. And through it all, the question Lyra had asked at the very beginning remained in his mind. Do you wonder what's beneath this suit? His answer, honest and respectful, had opened doors he never expected, doors to trust, understanding, and perhaps something more profound than he had ever known. Ethan was no longer just an explorer. He was part of something greater, a connection that transcended worlds, species, and expectations. And he was ready to face whatever came next, side by side with the alien princess who had seen in him something extraordinary. The trials of trust had begun, and Ethan knew he would emerge changed forever. Ethan and Lyra moved through the city, leaving behind the core of understanding. A quiet calm settled over them, but Ethan knew that peace was often temporary in a world so alive, so aware, and so full of energy. Each step they took felt purposeful, as though the city itself guided their movements toward a destiny neither could yet see. They reached an open plaza where the sky shimmered with soft auroras, casting dancing lights across the structures around them. The city seemed to breathe with energy, each tower resonating in harmony with the others. Ethan realized that this place was more than a home, it was a living testament to the values of Lyra's people, balance, courage, and understanding. Lyra paused and turned to him. You have proven yourself through trials of intelligence, courage, and trust. But now you must understand what it truly means to connect. Ethan studied her, curiosity and respect mingling in his expression. Connect? Yes, Lyra said. Not only with me, but with the city and with my people. True connection requires openness, honesty, and acceptance. You have already shown these qualities, but now you will see their depth. She led him into a smaller chamber, one bathed in warm golden light. The walls shimmered with holographic images of her civilization's history, moments of triumph, celebration, and quiet reflection. But in the center of the room was a platform, hovering slightly above the ground, pulsing with soft energy. This is the platform of unity, Lyra explained. It allows those who step upon it to share in the consciousness of our people. It is a gift reserved for the most trusted allies. Few outsiders have ever been granted this honor. Ethan swallowed hard, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. I don't know if I'm ready. Lyra's voice was calm, but firm. Readiness is not a question of fear. It is a matter of choice. Do you wish to understand us fully? Ethan nodded. I do. She stepped aside, gesturing for him to approach. As he placed his hand on the platform, energy surged gently through him. It was not painful, but it was intense, a sensation of awareness stretching beyond his body, beyond his mind. He could feel the consciousness of the city, the thoughts and memories of countless generations of Lyra's people. And the rhythm of the planet itself died. It was overwhelming, yet Ethan remained calm. He had faced challenges, adapted to alien systems, and earned trust. He realized that this experience required the same qualities: patience, observation, and respect. He allowed the energy to flow through him, letting himself feel the connection rather than resist it. Lyra watched silently, her presence steady. She had seen many fail this final stage, overwhelmed by the intensity of the shared consciousness. But Ethan's calm focus reassured her. He was not just a visitor. He was becoming part of something greater. Moments passed, or perhaps hours. Time seemed meaningless in this state of awareness. Ethan sensed the history of Lyra's people, their joys and struggles, their resilience in the face of adversity. He saw the city not merely as a structure, but as a living entity, intertwined with the lives of all who dwelled within it. Finally, the energy subsided, and Ethan withdrew his hand. He breathed deeply, feeling a profound sense of connection and understanding. I can feel it, he said softly. The city, your people, it's all alive. It's incredible. Lyra stepped closer, her suit reflecting the golden light. You have understood more than most. You have proven that connection is possible, even across species. You have shown respect, courage, and honesty, and that is rare. Ethan looked at her, realizing that the trials, the challenges, and the experiences of the past days had changed him. He was no longer just an explorer. He was part of this world, part of a bond that transcended stars and species. Lyra tilted her head slightly, a gesture he had come to recognize as a sign of approval. There's one more step, she said quietly. A gesture of trust. A choice. She gestured to a small chamber adjoining the platform room. Inside was a private area, softly lit, where the reflections of the city's energy shimmered gently on the walls. Lyra removed a small portion of her suit, a controlled, symbolic act of openness. It was not intimate, but it revealed her form in a way that demonstrated vulnerability and trust. Ethan's reaction was natural. He did not step back. He did not react with fear or awe. He simply acknowledged it with respect. understanding the significance of her gesture. This, Lyra realized, was what mattered most. His honesty and integrity were as important as any skill or knowledge. You see, Lyra said softly, trust is not about appearances. It is about understanding, acceptance, and respect. You have shown that you possess all of these qualities. Ethan nodded. I understand, and I respect you and your people. A silence fell over the room, filled with the quiet hum of the city. For a moment, words were unnecessary. Both understood the depth of the bond that had formed, a bond built on shared experience, courage, and the willingness to see beyond the surface. Lyra then turned, gesturing toward a larger chamber at the center of the city. It is time to return to the others, she said. Your journey is not yet complete, but you have earned the right to walk among us with trust and respect. As they entered the chamber, Ethan saw a gathering of Lyra's people. They regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. He realized that he had not only gained the trust of the princess, but of an entire civilization. His presence was no longer intrusive. It was welcomed. Lyra addressed the assembly, her voice carrying authority and grace. This human has shown qualities that are rare in our history: courage, honesty, intelligence, and respect. He is a friend, and he is worthy of our trust. The crowd acknowledged Ethan with nods and gestures of approval. Ethan felt a deep sense of humility. He had come to this world as an observer, a visitor, but now he stood as a participant, part of a connection that spanned worlds. After the gathering, Lyra led him back to a quiet observation deck overlooking the city. The twin suns had set, and the sky shimmered with stars reflected in the glowing towers below. Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known. You have done more than I expected, Lyra said softly. You have not only earned trust, but shown that humanity has qualities worth recognizing and learning from. You have exceeded every expectation. Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of the journey behind him and the promise of the future ahead. Thank you, he said simply. I couldn't have done it without your guidance. Lyra's visor reflected the starlight. No, you did it because you are capable of seeing beyond appearances, beyond fear. You acted with honesty and respect. That is what matters most. For a long while, they stood in silence, watching the city breathe under the twin moons. Ethan realized that he had not only learned about an alien civilization, but had also discovered something about himself: courage, patience, and the ability to trust and be trusted. Do you wonder what's beneath my suit now? Lyra asked quietly, a hint of curiosity still present in her tone. Ethan considered the question. He smiled, understanding the depth of its meaning. I do, he said, but it's not the suit that matters. It's the person wearing it. That is what I have come to see and understand for the first time. Lyra allowed herself to fully relax. She had tested him, guided him, and observed him, and now she saw in him a kind of human quality that few aliens had ever encountered: sincerity, courage, and respect for life. Ethan felt a quiet pride, not in himself, but in the connection he had formed. He knew that his journey on this planet was only beginning, but he also knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with integrity and respect. Side by side with Lyra and the people of this extraordinary city. As the night deepened, the city seemed to shimmer with approval, its lights dancing in quiet celebration. Ethan realized that he had become part of something far greater than any mission or objective: a living bridge between human and alien, courage and trust, curiosity and understanding. And in that moment, he knew the answer to Lyra's first question had shaped everything. By answering honestly, by showing courage, and by respecting what he did not yet understand, he had opened a door to a new future, one where humans and Lyra's people could meet, learn, and grow together. The adventure was far from over, but for now, Ethan allowed himself to simply stand beside the alien princess, watching the city pulse with life, knowing that trust, courage, and understanding had forged a connection that could endure across the stars. And in that quiet moment, he realized that the galaxy held wonders not only in its planets and stars, but in its people, and that the greatest discovery of all was the bond formed when beings chose honesty, respect, and trust over fear and ignorance.